Welcome to White Regis TV film review and preview. I'm Andrew Wright. It's a busy segment this week, so let's get to it. I'm catching up on reviewing a couple of films, so I'm not really talking about this week's new releases that much. This weekend sees the UK cinema release of the anime film Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba the movie Infinity Castle. It's a mouthful, I know. The film is a sequel to the Hashira training arc of the TV anime, and stars Natsuki Hanai, Akari Kito, Hiro Shimono, Yoshitsugu Matsuoka, and Akira Ishida, and revolves around the Demon Slayer Corps getting trapped inside the Infinity Castle by Muzan at the end of the Hashira training arc. And to get out, they must fight and defeat the various upper-rank demons. So the film was released in Japan in July to box office success and positive reactions from audiences. I think it's the third highest grossing film ever in Japan. So that's quite impressive. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba the movie Infinity Castle is in cinemas now, and it is, be warned, it is 2.5 hours, and it is part one of a 3-part film adaptation of the final arcs of the Demon Slayer manga. So also released in cinemas this weekend is we've got The Long Walk, a dystopian Stephen King adaptation from director Francis Lawrence about a group of young men who have to walk in a competition, and if they do anything but walk under 3 miles an if they do anything other than walk at 3 miles an hour, they get killed. Apparently that's quite good. So there's also Downton Abbey, the grand finale, sort of the big conclusion of the Downton Abbey TV show, and the sequel films. I'm not someone who's ever watched Downton Abbey, so that's nope. And also the long-awaited sequel to Spinal Tap called Spinal Tap 2. I think it's The End Continues. 40 years after the first film, they're reuniting to play one last show, that kind of thing. I've not seen Spinal Tap, but I've seen tributes to it, like on the Goldbergs. It's something I'm interested in watching, but because it's so old and it's not really been in circulation. It wasn't really in circulation during the time I was starting to get into film, so I might see if I can wait for a 2-film Blu-ray collection, something like that. So yeah, there's sort of like 4 major massive films coming out this weekend, so that is a lot to digest. So this week on like DVD and Blu-ray, Ballerina from the world of John Wick was released. The film stars Ana de Armas as Ruska Roma assassin Eve Macaro, who takes on a cultish army of killers to avenge the death of her father. The film also stars Gabriel Byrne and Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead, alongside Keanu Reeves, Angelica Houston, Lance Reddick in his final film role, in his final role ever, and Ian McShane. All 4 of whom reprise their roles from the main John Wick films. Keanu Reeves is in about 3-4 scenes, something like that. As Ballerina takes place during the events of John Wick Chapter 3. So there's a scene in the film where it's like they're showing a bit from John Wick Chapter 3, but just reframe to fit into this film's narrative. So this was my first time watching the film. I didn't see it in cinema, but I knew all about all the controversy surrounding the production, and Chad Stahelski took over from Len Wiseman and reshot most of the movie. So I knew all about that. at stuff, but I wasn't really thinking about that. And I knew it sort of didn't perform well at the box office, but I just thought, yeah, the film's script was an absolute total mess. Yes, but on the whole, it is a lot of fun. Ballerina is a lot of fun, especially with his absurd fight scenes. Like, I don't know how spoilery it is to say, but just mild spoiler alert. There's a fight between two people using flamethrowers, and when that came on the screen, I just started laughing out loud at the sheer absurdity of it. I was just giggling, just laughing at it. I gave the film 3 stars out of 5. I wanted to give it 3.5 because it's just so much fun, but you know, the script is too much of a mess to be able to give it that higher. To give it that higher rating, so it's out on Ballerina's out on home video now. So I don't know when this came out on home video, but this week I watched the action thriller The Amateur for the first time. It's based on a novel that was previously made into a film in the 80s, I believe, that I wasn't aware of. So this film stars Rami Malek, Rachel Brosnahan, and Lawrence Fishburne, and revolves around a CIA analyst who blackmails his corrupt superiors to go on a revenge mission when his wife is killed in a London terrorist attack. So it was just one of those things I was catching up on. Like, I didn't get the Blu-ray when it was released. It was more one of those things I was, just catching up on. I watched it for the first time. I thought it's nothing special. It's just, I couldn't muster myself to feel any strong emotion about it. It was just meh. Just incredibly meh. With Rami Malek doing some overacting. And the film on the whole is about 10 minutes too long. But I do like the cinematography that James Hawes was able to get out of his cinematographer. So, but yeah, it is just incredibly meh. 10 minutes too long. I gave the film 3 stars out of 5. Yeah, it's just meh. That's all I can say. It's just meh. The Amateur is available on home video. Has been for a few weeks, I think. And it's also streaming on Disney Plus. Why I didn't just stream it on Disney Plus, I have no idea. Maybe it's just because I'm a home video purist that likes collecting home Blu-rays. Also this week, for the first time, I watched the horror movie Sinners. The film is from Black Panther director Ryan Coogler. It's an original IP, original horror film. It stars Michael B. Jordan as a pair of identical twins, alongside Haley Steinfeld, Miles Canton, Wunmi Musaku, and Jack O'Connell. And the film revolves around a pair of twins in 1932 who just got home to Mississippi after working for Al Capone, and they're opening up a black-only juke joint in their their home community, only to find themselves under siege from vampires led by Jack O'Connell. I know it's going to be a bit controversial for me to say, but yeah, this was the film was a financial and critical success when it came out. But yeah, I think it's very controversial to say that in watching the film, I had high expectations for it, but I was honestly a bit disappointed. Like, the cinematography and the soundtrack are very good. The film looks stunning, and the music is very good. Like, I was genuinely tapping my foot to the tunes. It's that good. But the script was very poor. Should I just? I don't know any other way to put that. The script is just, like, poor. It's taking what should have just been, you know, like a cheap 10 million, 90-minute survive the night film. You know, like so many horror films like Annabelle or Curse of La Llorona or The Nun. Like, this is all like basically a haunted film, but with vampires. Like, you know, just 90-minute survive the night film. Instead of, I feel like it unnecessarily stretches the runtime with a very poor, and I didn't feel like, I'll admit that the take the film has on vampires is not something I've particularly seen before, but I didn't necessarily like it. Like, it's like you got takes on vampires from like Vampire Diaries, originals. I'm trying to think of other examples of vampires, like, you know, and it's just, I didn't particularly gel with this particular take on vampires. I will admit that I probably didn't understand the film just from the first watch. Like, I might go back and revisit it because it's an interesting film, but from my first watch, I don't think I understood it because I thought the script was poor. Like, there was one moment shot in IMAX where it was almost like a acid trip moment throughout time. And I just didn't understand the whole point of that scene, other than to be filmed in IMAX. It's like, So I gave the film 2.5 stars out of 5. Sinners is on home video. I do want to go back and check it out again at some point, because I don't think I gave it a fair shake. Well, probably did give it a fair shake. And I just, yeah. That's all I have for this week, but be sure to check back next. No, not nearly doing my usual thing. There's not going to be a segment next week. But be sure to check back on the 27th, where I'll be talking about Karate Kid Legends, which comes out on Blu-ray next week. It comes out on the 15th, so in a few days' time. I'll be watching it next week, but I won't be reviewing it till the week after, because there's no segment next week. And also going to be reviewing in that segment Elio, because that comes out on the 22nd. One Battle After Another, and The Strangers Chapter 2. I'm actually looking forward to The Strangers Chapter 2, because I was like the only person who liked Strangers Chapter 1. See you next time.